Hi, Wiley.
Hi, Wiley. Everest and I are going to be making...
So for the tomato soup, we started by softening some diced onions in a large, deep pan with some butter. Then we added some red pepper flakes, oregano, and a bit of flour to thicken the soup. Then we added plenty of canned tomatoes to make up the majority of the tomato soup. Then we added some milk to reduce the acidity and stirred it a bit before letting it simmer and boil. After it cooked for a while, we used the immersion blender to break up some of the chunkier tomatoes and onions to give the soup a smoother consistency. Then we added some salt and pepper for a little seasoning, and we had our tomato soup. For the grilled cheese, we put some butter in a smaller skillet and let it heat up a bit before putting in 2 slices of sourdough bread. We let the bread soak up the melted butter before increasing the heat to toast the bread, which resulted in the butteriest grilled cheese I've ever had. After toasting the bread on one side, we took the bread off the pan and put cheese onto it to start melting. We then toasted 2 more slices of bread the same way, before putting the new slices on the old ones, forming the sandwiches. From there, we toasted the other sides of the bread while the cheese melted, making 2 wonderful grilled cheese sandwiches. For an extra touch, we attempted to form a toasty cheese crust on the outside by sprinkling shredded cheese into the pan and pressing the bread into it, which kinda worked. But that was the last step to make a wonderful meal of tomato soup and 2 grilled cheese sandwiches. There are a surprising amount of chemical processes that work to create this simple meal. The first one I will mention is called the Maillard effect. It's the reason the bread gets all brown and toasted in the pan. When enough heat is applied to the sugars found in the bread, the sugars produce polymers called melanoidins. These melanoidins, called furan polymers, give the toasted bread its hard crunch and browned color. Another thing that happened to the grilled cheese is called protein denaturation. When the cheese in the sandwich is exposed to heat, the proteins in the cheese, mainly the casein, denature and unwind, losing their structure and making the cheese gooey. This also happened to the collagen in my skin a few times.
Sparkling water. I call it this water.
The tomato soup underwent a process called concentration. As the soup simmers, the water in the soup evaporates as steam. This reduces the amount of liquid in the soup and concentrates everything left behind. The result of the concentration is a thicker soup with richer and more pronounced flavors.
The soup, I just burnt my tongue.
Something else that occurred in the tomato soup was an acid-base reaction. Tomatoes are naturally acidic, which makes the soup tangy. When we added the milk into the soup, it reacted with the citric and malic acid, which made the soup less sour and taste smoother. It was honestly surprising how many different processes were involved in making a meal even as simple as this one, and it definitely gave me a new perspective on the food I eat.
We're cutting the cheese.
Do you know what that means?
Nope. What does that
Cutting
mean?
the cheese is like a fart.
Ah.
When you cut the cheese, you fart.
Ah.